Hi, I'm ABC 10 reporter Becca Habegger. I'm here just a block and a half from the active scene of a gunman who is holed up in his house. Police and sheriff's deputies here in Sacramento are working to get him out. We are currently staged, my colleagues and I, at the intersection of Redwood Avenue and Colfax Street. You can hear that overhead. We have the Sacramento Police Department's helicopter swirling overhead. I'm going to show you a little bit of the scene here. It's right behind me. So police have streets blocked off in this neighborhood here. About a block and a half that way is where the main activity is happening, just on the other side of, I believe it's Edgewater. So we are at Colfax and Redwood Avenue. The incident is in the 2200 block of Redwood Avenue. This has been an active scene. We've been here for about an hour now. We have the Sacramento Police Department Sacramento Police Department choppers, as well as sheriff's deputies on scene, blocking streets. We're just by El Camino. So we're here, you can see, this is Redwood Avenue, and then just over here is El Camino in North Sacramento. So very, very close to a very busy roadway. We're here sort of making sure that we're kind of staying back from the situation. It is a block and a half that way. Sacramento police have told us that there is an armed gunman who is actively shooting. In about an hour that we've been here, we have heard volleys of shots fired. Not in the last maybe 20 minutes or so, but we do know the police are trying to get the suspect out of the house. We have been seeing neighbors coming out of their house to check and see what's going on. Police who are blocking the roads here have been telling them via the megaphone, get back in your homes, get back in your homes. Some restless neighbors in the block and a half we've seen coming out of their homes to check on what's going on. So again, a very active scene. If you are in the area of North Sacramento, avoid El Camino. I want to show you just sort of what this police blockade looks like. This neighborhood, we're at Redwood Avenue and Colfax Street. This police is just pulling up. Very active scene as they block off any of the roads into this particular neighborhood. Sort of this, did we say it was Edgewater? Is that what?
Edgewater and Redwood.
Okay, so we're at Redwood and Colfax. One block this way is Redwood Avenue and Edgewater. That is the nearest intersection to this home. About a block and a half down this way on Redwood Avenue, in the 2200 block of Redwood Avenue is where the incident's happening. Again, we're seeing neighbors come out of their homes. Police are telling them to stay back, to go back into their homes. We've been here for about an hour. We have heard shots fired. I would say several dozen, not recently. We're hearing a lot of helicopters, a couple of helicopters going overhead. Sacramento Police Department on scene, Sac Sheriff's Office on scene. Again, as neighbors come out of their house, police are telling them to go back into their home. This is an active scene. We don't have a lot of reportable information yet. We're hearing things on the scanner, but that's not our policy to report scanner traffic. So I'm just telling you what we know and what we are seeing here on the ground. Coordinating with my colleagues who are at other places throughout around this emergency scene. We know that there was one gunshot victim. My colleague Ananda Rachita is at UC Davis Medical Center, where that victim has been taken. We also know that police right now, Sacramento police, are trying to get the suspect out of the house. They've surrounded it. They are working to make sure, of course, nobody else gets injured. That's why they're asking neighbors to stay back. Let me show you again. We're here at Redwood and Colfax. I know I sound like I keep repeating myself, but I'm just sort of telling you the information that I for sure know, not speculating, not reporting on scanner traffic, because scanner traffic is happening in the moment. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's confirmed or accurate, so we just want to tell you what's accurate. We have police here blocking the road at Redwood Avenue and Colfax Street. And I showed you this a little earlier, but El Camino is right here in North Sacramento. So this is a very busy thoroughfare that's being blocked off right now. Just after rush hour on a Wednesday evening, the scene was like this. Probably, we got called out of our newsroom probably about an hour and a half ago or so. So we are just following this information as we know that there's an armed gunman at a house about a block and a half east of us. So we're at Colfax and Redwood, about a block and a half east in the 2200 block of Redwood Avenue. There's an armed gunman. Have we heard any developments, any major Okay, so we're listening to the scanner. We're not reporting details from the scanner, but it's helping us sort of keep abreast of what's happening and what, and also for our safety. You know, if we're hearing that the suspect is shooting in our direction, even though we're a safe distance back, we certainly want to take cover. We've planted ourselves a block and a half away from this home. We can't even see the home from here, but we can see the commotion. Okay, so we are seeing a police officer over there blocking the alleyway at Colfax between Redwood and, here, I'll show you. You can see the police officer is telling neighbors to go inside that alleyway there between Colfax and El Camino. Sorry, between Redwood and El Camino. Along Colfax, that alleyway runs behind the houses. A neighbor tells us all the way down to the house that the gunman is in. Get out of your house now, he's saying. Or get back into your house now, he's saying. Telling people to take cover, telling neighbors to take cover. People who want to see what's going on, but this is an active situation. We're still hearing, aren't we still hearing that they're trying to, they haven't got the suspect yet? So Sacramento police officers are still trying to get the suspect. We are about a block and a half west of... Okay, thank you, yeah. So we are about a block and a half west of the house where this is all happening in the 2200 block of Redwood Avenue. Very, very active scene. We have helicopters going overhead. We have police blocking all this area. We are at Redwood and Colfax. And again, I know I'm repeating myself here, but I'm just telling you information that we for sure know that is reportable. We don't report on the details of scanner traffic because that's happening in the moment and it's not necessarily factual or correct. So we're giving you kind of big picture here. We can tell you that a block and a half that way east on Redwood Avenue, the 220 block of Redwood Avenue, there was a gunman. Sacramento police officers are trying to get him out. We know that a victim was shot and is transported to UC Davis Medical Center. My colleague Ananda Rochita is there covering the victim, and you can see that police here are blocking up the road. Let's see what they're doing. They've got the trunk open here. You know, these police, they're not just blocking traffic, they've got their helmet on. You know, we feel, you know, our safety is priority too. We're keeping a safe distance. We're a block and a half away, and we are attempting to, we're just being very wary. If we're hearing any shots fired, as we did about 45 minutes ago, we are prepared to take cover, but for now, we know that the house in question is a block and a half this way, down Redwood Avenue. Police have had to, through this incident, tell neighbors to get back into their homes. Neighbors are, you know, getting restless. They're wanting to get out and see what's happening. So I'm here with Vince and Barbara, and we are monitoring Sacramento Police's Twitter account and their Facebook account, as well as just using our eyes and ears to see what's happening here. Same as before, Vince? Nothing new? Okay. We're just listening to scanner, trying to see what's happening, monitoring for facts, keeping in touch with our newsroom. We have several other crews. Here we have a crew with the media staging area. We have another crew elsewhere on this incident. We have a crew at UC Davis Medical Center where the gunshot victim was taken. From listening to the scanner, we know that the police are still trying to get the suspect who was in this house about a block and a half this way on Redwood Avenue. So police are still working to get this person who was armed, who has been shooting, not immediately recently, but in the last maybe 45 minutes or so, we did hear several volleys of gunfire, some pops in the distance. Very active scene. Very much in an area where you want to avoid. We're here in North Sacramento, just a block away from El Camino, which is, as you know, a very busy artery through this part of town. We are on Redwood Avenue at Colfax Street, about a block and a half from where everything's happening. If you go about a block that way, you'll hit Edgewater, and then just a half block further east is the house in question. So let's take a look at what's happening here behind me. Thanks for bearing with me, folks. I know it's noisy with the helicopter, and I know that I know that I can't report everything that we're hearing on the scanner. Can you see what Ananda's tweeting? Is Ananda tweeting anything? I see the concern about going live if the suspect is watching. We are about a block and a half away from the suspect's home. The suspect is very, very aware that police officers have the house surrounded, and we're not giving any information that we're hearing from the scanner, so we're not giving any information that might be advantageous to the gunman. So we're about a block and a half away from this house, both keeping a safe distance but also not being able to go any closer. The police have everything blocked off in this area. We're about a block away from El Camino. We are on Redwood Avenue and Colfax Street, and about a block and a half east is the house in question in the 220 block of Redwood Avenue. Our station is just reporting, so I can tell you that Sacramento police officer has been taken to UC Davis Medical Center. Again, I'm only telling you what I can confirm and what, not giving you any speculation, not giving you any of the details from the scanner, because sometimes those are spoken in the moment and they're not necessarily confirmed. So I just want to give you factual information and what I'm seeing and hearing. We got multiple helicopters overseeing Sacramento police helicopters as they're monitoring the situation. Again, this is very active. About 45 minutes ago, we did hear a volley of pops in that same distance or in that same direction. We haven't heard anything since. We know that police are trying to get to the suspect in a house about a block and a half away. We're on an area that's closed off, but we arrived here before it was closed off, and so we're just staying about a block and a half. Just started watching what happened. I can tell you that Sacramento police have responded to a house about a block and a half that way on Redwood Avenue in North Sacramento, just a block off of El Camino, for a gunman, and he is still in his house. Police are trying to get to him. There has been one gunshot victim who has been transported to UC Davis Medical Center. That victim was a Sacramento police officer. My colleague Ananda Rachita is there at the hospital covering that side. Sacramento police officer taken to UC Davis Medical Center is the information that we have confirmed. So yes, an officer was shot. That is our information on ABC 10. We are currently waiting as police are trying to get to the suspect in the home in the 220 block of Redwood Avenue. That's kind of at the intersection of Redwood and Edgewater. We are currently at the intersection of Redwood and Colfax, a block and a half away, as we monitor the situation. Yeah, definitely prayers for her, hoping that that she pulls through. And this is just a block off of El Camino. So, and again, I thank you all for being patient as I seem to repeat myself. I'm just telling you what I know. I'm being very careful and not speculating or reporting anything that we hear on the scanner, because go inside. If you're in your backyard, go inside. The police incident response vehicle just pulled up in front of us. Is SWAT leaving or going in? That's a question. That's a good question. Again, I can't speculate, but I can tell you that that vehicle was going in this direction, and a block and a half this way is that house that we're talking about. But as you can imagine, we know that police are surrounding this whole neighborhood, trying to gain access to the house where the gunman is holed up. Again, about a block and a half this way in the 220 block of Redwood Avenue. So where that SWAT vehicle or that armored vehicle was off to, I do not know. We know that they have been in the area responding to this. We are at the intersection of Redwood and Colfax, and about a block and a half that way in the 220 block of Redwood Avenue is that house where the gunman is holed up. Are we hearing any more information, any new developments? Okay. Well, I'm here in North Sacramento. I'm about a block from El Camino, so this is a very busy artery for North Sacramento. This whole area has been shut down. These roads have been shut down as police tell people to stay out of the area. If you live around here, if you're in the area, you can definitely hear the helicopters going overhead. This is Sacramento Police Department. About a block and a half behind me is the house where the gunman is holed up. We know that one Sacramento police officer was shot and injured and is at UC Davis Medical Center, where my colleague Ananda Rachita is monitoring that side of this story. We're here monitoring the scene. My colleague Madison Meyer is also at the scene, as well as my colleague Lilia Luciano. She'll be talking where the media staging area is set up. But for now, we are here about a block and a half from the house where the gunman is holed up. We're at the intersection of Colfax and Redwood. That house is in the 220 block of Redwood, just near the intersection of Edgewater, and that's we don't quote them. That's I just follow them. But that's the office police, and it's our decision. Yeah. So we know that a Sacramento police officer has been shot and is at. Thank you, Darlene. We are definitely trying to be careful. We are keeping our distance here. Within the last hour, we heard several volleys of shots, pops in the direction of that house where the gunman is holed up. We are definitely very, we're keeping our distance. We're making sure that we're keeping back behind this car. Hi, Rebecca. Thank you for the call earlier today. We are closing on the shot. Absolutely. Yep. So we've been here for about an hour. We haven't seen a whole lot of movement, but I can tell you that a police presence has been here at Colfax and Redwood since we arrived, blocking, and these aren't police officers who are just in their regular uniforms. They've got the helmet on, they've got the extra protective gear. We've seen neighbors also outside trying to catch what's happening on the scene, and police have used their megaphones to say, go inside. Some of you saw that a little bit earlier. Thank you, Daisy. We're trying to be careful for sure. Appreciate your concern. We definitely are keeping tabs on what we're seeing and hearing here in case we need to take shelter ourselves. But for now, we feel we're in an okay place. You can see, is that an officer? Yes, that's an officer that we have here. We've also seen neighbors down in that direction, and officers have yelled at them through the megaphone to get inside. Obviously, this is a very active scene. Pardon me for the shakiness. I'm zoomed in a lot with my cell phone's camera. This is also, I'll mention, a hot day, of course. Police officers have been out here, so we've heard some talk about call for relief. Again, we don't comment on the details of scanner traffic, but I think it's worth noting that these police officers have needed relief too, as they've been on this very dangerous, nerve-wracking situation. So about a block and a half that way in the 220 block of Redwood Avenue is where this house is. Are we hearing anything else? They're still trying to. Okay, so generally, without reporting on the details of scanner traffic, we just know that police are still trying to get into. Okay, thank you. Still trying to get into this house where the gunman is holed up. So this is blocked off. The street down that way, a block is blocked off. Yes, the Sacramento Police Department. The Sacramento police officer has been transported to UC Davis Medical Center. Lynn, you're asking about whether multiple people or police are killed. All I can confirm for you, we haven't heard that. All I can confirm is that one Sacramento police officer has been shot and is being treated currently at UC Davis Medical Center. One victim that we know of that we can confirm, that person is at UC Davis Medical Center. Police here have blocked off the alleyway between El Camino and Redwood Avenue. This alley, a neighbor tells us, runs all the way back between the houses, all the way back toward that house where the gunman is still holed up. We know that police are still trying to get to that gunman. We know that neighbors immediately around that house, they've been trying to evacuate. We also know that neighbors have been coming out trying to see what's going on, and police have told them to get back into their homes. Cassandra, you're asking, was she a trainee? I don't have that information. I want to just report what I know for sure. I hope we can answer that question for you later tonight. Obviously, as you see, this is a very developing scene, so the information I'm giving you is only what I have confirmed. So you're saying, Stacy wants to know, so this guy is in someone's house. Yes, we know that this gunman is holed up in a house. We don't know whether it's his. We don't know whether, I mean, all we know is that he is in a home in the 220 block of Redwood Avenue, about a block and a half east of where I'm standing right now. There's a question, is there any hostages or anyone else in the home with the gunman? That I don't know. That also is a good question. We can tell you that one Sacramento police officer has been shot and was transported to UC Davis Medical Center, where my colleague Ananda Rochita is monitoring the scene. I'm gonna go. So if you're in this area, you absolutely are hearing and seeing these helicopters overhead, Sacramento police helicopters. It is a very active scene. We've been out here for about an hour now, a little over an hour, and it's been like this since we got here. Helicopters swirling over scene, roads blocked. We know that there's an alley over this way, and then also an alley that this law enforcement has blocked off. The alleys go between the houses, behind the houses, right? And thank you, I appreciate the concern. We're definitely trying to stay safe, and we're certainly hoping that everyone involved is safe, or in the case of that police officer who was shot, able to recover. A very sad and scary situation. What? From PG&E? Okay. Yeah, I don't have it confirmed from a source, but that's good to know. Can you give me my phone? Thanks for your patience here. I gotta correspond with my newsroom, so I'm just gonna keep this shot up, but I'm not gonna be chatting. I mean, a lot of you have been on this shot. You've heard me say the same thing over and over again, so appreciate your patience. I'm just telling you what I know, but I'm gonna keep the shot up here, just on the police officer. So I'll be back. Just keep watching. Okay, yeah, so we're just hearing from Sacramento police on Twitter. They're saying that police will be giving an update at the northwest parking lot of Del Paso Boulevard and El Camino. That's where the media are meeting. That's not necessarily a place for the public to go and get information. Police want you to get that through us so that you can stay away from the scene. So abc10.com, my colleague Lilia Luciano, they will be there getting the information on the latest information from Sac Police. Also, I'm following their Twitter account, and so they are tweeting updates as they can. Obviously, as you can imagine, Sac Police is busy right now, so they're tweeting updates is not top of their priority list, but they do definitely want to provide updates to the public through the media. So definitely. So I'm just reading up some of the comments. Yep. So, so Sacramento Police giving us an update shortly here. So members of the media will be heading there. ABC 10 will, I imagine we will have it on our ABC 10 Facebook page. So if I see that pop up, I will let you know, so you can head over there for a briefing from the police on what we know so far. And I will also be watching that. And if you happen to stay on this feed, I will be giving you the updates from here. We're going to keep you on this scene for just a second. If you want to zoom in, I'm going to check in with my newsroom really quick, but we're just going to keep the feed up. So I'm just going to stop talking here for a moment and to let you watch the scene. Thanks everyone for your patience as we report what we know, which is not a whole lot at this moment, but we want to give you the facts as we know them. Hi Angie, thanks. Sorry, I'm just rejoining. I was making sure I was getting the most updated information from my newsroom. This is at Redwood Avenue, the 220 block of Redwood Avenue in North Sacramento, just about a block away from El Camino, obviously a very busy artery through this part of town. My news crew and I, we are staged about a block and a half west of the house where the gunman is holed up. We are at Redwood and Colfax Street. I've been saying that all afternoon. You think I remember that? Redwood and Colfax Street. The incident is about a block and a half that way, just past Redwood and Edgewater. We know that police are still trying to get a suspect out of the house. We also know that one Sacramento police officer was shot and transported to UC Davis Medical Center, where that officer is receiving treatment. My colleague Ananda Rochita is at the scene. So
okay, because I just got heard from
we are talking with a neighbor who says that this area is it has some criminal activity. He says his parents-in-law have lived here for a long time. This is, we're just a block off of El Camino here. You can see that right there. That's El Camino, and police have that blocked off. They also have this alleyway here blocked off. The alleyway runs between the backs of the houses all the way up to the house in question where the armed gunman is holed up in the 220 block of Redwood Avenue. That's this way. Does he have any hostages? One asks. That information I don't have. I'm just trying to bring you what I know, which is sort of why I sound a little bit like a broken record here, and I appreciate your patience for everyone who's been watching. I just want to let you know what we know for sure, and not speculate and not tell you what we're hearing on the traffic, or the scanner traffic specifically, because sometimes that's just the reporting what they're seeing and it's not necessarily confirmed, so we're just telling you what we for sure know. Redwood Boulevard, or not Redwood Boulevard, Redwood Avenue is where it is. Let me see any other questions folks are having here. Someone said, oh yep, I hope the police evacuate the neighbors. We know the police have been evacuating the neighbors immediately surrounding the house where the gunman is holed up. We also know that there have been several neighbors here wandering onto their lawns trying to see what's up, and police have gotten on the megaphone telling them to get back into their homes. We are a block and a half away, keeping a safe distance. The guy in the blue shirt, Beth, is a neighbor. He's been talking with us. We are getting our information confirmed from police and from official sources, but it's good to get information from people who live around here and just kind of keep that as information tucked in the back of our minds as we bring context to this story. Barbara's wondering how the incident began. I personally don't have that information, but I can tell you that Sacramento police, they're about to talk to the media nearby where my colleague Lilia Luciano is staged, and I am guessing that ABC 10's Facebook page will have that live. I will also be watching that here, so I will bring you those facts as they're reporting them. We know that this happened. It started earlier this evening. Updates on the officer's conditions. I don't have that information. My colleague Ananda Rochita, and you can follow her on Facebook, Ananda, ANANDA-ROCHITA. Ananda Rochita is at UC Davis Medical Center covering the condition of the police officer who was brought there. The police officer who was shot by the gunman in a house, but a gunman who is in a house a block and a half that way. I don't know where the police officer was when that officer was shot, but the officer is now at UC Davis Medical Center. Thomas, you're talking about a house number. I appreciate that offer. I know we've been listening to the scanner traffic. We're hearing the house number 2. We know it's in the 220 block of Redwood Avenue. And basically the important information for folks is, this whole area is a place to avoid. I mean, police have roads closed. You can hear, I'm sure, the police helicopter overhead. It's been swirling like this since we got on scene over an hour ago. We've been watching the sunset on this neighborhood and the police lights coming up. Oh, let's see, what are they? Looks like 3 police officers. Apologies for the shaky video. You can see that I'm really zoomed in here. So this is Colfax, and this is blocked off from up there to El Camino, a main artery through North Sacramento, as you can see. But but the incident is a block and a half east this way in the 220 block of Redwood Avenue. I am gonna peruse through our my newsroom's correspondence here and see what new information I might be able to give you. What I can tell you is that Sacramento Police is going to be holding a news conference at a media staging area shortly. My colleague Lilia Luciano is at that. I'm guessing ABC 10's Facebook page will carry that live. I mean, here's something to note. You know, these police officers, they're not in their regular uniforms. They're in their helmets and you know, they've got their protective, super protective gear on. Now, this alley, there's the sheriff's office. This alley that the car is pulling into there, that alley runs in between the backs of houses all the way down to the house in question, the 220 block of Redwood Avenue, where the gunman is holed up. We are waiting to hear from police a little bit more information. Police are going to be holding a media conference here shortly. I'm going to check through some information, some updated information, so bear with me as I pause on the commentary. Those of you who have been with me for a long time have heard me repeat myself, and I appreciate your patience. I'm just telling you what I know, as I find out confirmed information and not speculation or reporting on scanner traffic. So give me 1 second so if I can find some more facts. Here, Vince, will you? Oh, you're going live? Can you hold it on the scene? Thank you. I don't know if you heard that. We just heard a big pow. We don't know what it is. I'm not going to speculate, but I know that we just heard a big pop, a big pow. Gloria, you're asking how the officer is. I don't have that information. I know the officer was transported to UC Davis Medical Center about an hour ago. My colleague, Ananda Rachita, is at that scene. I know that SAC Police will be providing an update shortly. Is this by Northgate? I can tell you that this is about a block off of El Camino. It's on Redwood Avenue, which is... We're at Redwood and Colfax. The incident is a block and a half that way toward Redwood and Edgewater. El Camino is just right here. So, I mean, this is just a main artery through North Sacramento. I'm going to check some latest information, so bear with me. Thank you. Hi, thanks for your patience. Got a phone call from the office. We are waiting to see some more information, so bear with me as we're trying to confirm some additional information. Thanks for your patience.
I did.
Domino, we're not hearing 16 people shot. What we know for sure, what we can for sure report is that one Sacramento police officer has been shot and has been taken to the UC Davis Medical Center. So what we're seeing here on scene now is a fire engine here, fire truck. Metro Fires arrived on scene. A little bit ago, about 2 minutes ago, we did hear one bang in that direction. I know we're hearing a lot of rumors swirling, and we're just reporting to you what we can confirm, what we know for sure. We also know that Sac PD is holding a media conference for members of the media at a staging area nearby. And so once they address us, we might be able to provide, we will be able to provide updated information, but I don't know if that information is going to change drastically from what we already have. What we know is that there is currently an armed gunman holed up in a home in the 220 block of Redwood Avenue, where that fire truck went. We are a block and a half west of that. So Redwood Avenue is where this gunman is holed up, just a block from El Camino in North Sacramento. We also know that a Sacramento police officer has been shot and transported to UC Davis Medical Center for treatment. And we know that police will be updating us with more details shortly here. Thank you so much for your patience as we try to get information that's accurate. Renee, I hear you saying taking bear to alley. What we know is that a Bearcat is a name for an armored vehicle. They've been talking about that a lot on the scanner. So just a Bearcat is an armored vehicle law enforcement agencies use in situations like this. Yeah, I'm going to try and get some more information.
Okay, how many times do people rip ATMs out of a bank, right, and steal it, right? So check it out. They dump it right here in this dead end thing, right here. Bad cars, bad vehicles, all day long. How y'all doing today?
anything. Have you seen any alerts about police addressing the media? I feel like we get alerts saying they run live. I haven't done anything.
It was that first time earlier.
Yeah, I think their time was too close. They didn't do that yet. It's my understanding. Okay, that's just, yeah, that's cool.
I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, thank you. Hey guys, I'm back. Thanks for your patience. I've been trying to get some more information. My colleague at UC Davis Medical Center, where the Sacramento police officer who was shot has been taken, tells me that officials just approached her and other media colleagues. They said no update from the hospital, but that there is a news conference coming up from Sac PD near the scene. We already knew about that. We told you about that. We're all waiting for that to start. So thank you for everyone who has been patient as we've been trying to get the most updated information. We're here about a block and a half west of a house where a gunman is holed up in the 220 block of Redwood Avenue in North Sacramento. We are just a block away from El Camino here, which, as you may know, is a very busy artery through North Sacramento. Renee, yes, we plan on going live with the conference. I am not at the media conference, but ABC 10's Facebook page should be going live from the conference. I will also be watching the conference on my other phone, so I will be updating the facts immediately as I hear them on that other Facebook Live. So if for some reason you can't switch over to that Facebook feed, I will be giving you those facts here. About 10 minutes ago, Metro Fire arrived on scene. You can maybe see someone in the yellow jacket just went past. There's that red truck off there in the distance. You're looking in the direction of the house where the gunman is holed up in the 220 block of Redwood Avenue. We are standing a block and a half west at Colfax and Redwood. This whole stretch is blocked off. Neighbors have been coming and going. Police throughout the time we've been here have shouted at them to get back into their homes. This is still an active scene. Sacramento County Sheriff's Office has this alleyway blocked off. This alleyway stretches between the backs of houses all the way down to the home in question where the armed gunman is holed up. We don't report on the details of scanner traffic, but we can tell you generally that the police officers are, and have been for a long time here this evening, trying to find a way to get to the gunman in the home. Intermittently throughout the last couple of hours we've been out here, we've heard volleys of what sound like shots, pops coming from that same direction. The most recent one was just one pop, maybe about 7 or 8 minutes ago. Have the police finished the evacuations? Heather wants to know that information I don't have. I know they have been trying to evacuate neighbors in the immediate area around the house where the gunman is holed up, and I've heard various successes where they've gotten certain people out, but how many neighbors might remain, that I don't know. Of course, during a situation like this, people are hearing different information. They're hearing maybe some rumors are swirling, but what we can tell you for sure is one Sacramento police officer has been shot and is injured and was transported to UC Davis Medical Center for treatment. We don't know the officer's condition. My colleague Ananda Rochita at the scene said she said that officials at the hospital said there would not be an update from them, but there is going to be a Sacramento police update coming up shortly here. ABC 10's Facebook page should carry that live. In addition, I will be watching it live on my other phone, and I will be presenting the facts here immediately as they come in. So if you want to stick with me, you can. If you want to switch over, you can see the officer delivering that press conference. It's not happening yet. We are waiting. Obviously, Sacramento Police Department is very, very, very busy right now. It's an active scene. So they're trying to update the public with information as soon as they can. But the information is changing. If any of you are listening to the scanner, you've been hearing about something called a Bearcat, I believe. We know that a Bearcat is an armored vehicle that law enforcement agencies use that can protect them from active shooter situations. Very heavily armored. We saw one pass by us earlier. This is, and I apologize for the shaky video. Hi there, Teresa. It's shaky and grainy video. I'm zoomed way in on my cell phone's camera here. In that area is where the house is, where the gunman is holed up. We are at the intersection of Colfax and Redwood Avenue. Redwood Avenue is where the house where the gunman is located is holed up. That's a block and a half east of here in the 220 block of Redwood. And then just a block to the north is El Camino, which, as you know, is a main artery through North Sacramento. This is a very busy area where this is happening. As neighbors have come out of their homes in this area, we have heard police through the megaphones shout at them to get back into their homes. This is a developing situation. You can see the Sacramento police helicopter circling overhead. It's been out here since we have arrived on the scene a couple of hours ago. We have heard some shots fired. Not recently, but most recently we heard one pop about 10 minutes ago. But when we first got out here, there were several volleys of maybe a dozen pops in that same direction as the house. Thank you for pausing with me or bearing with me as I pause. I'm trying to listen to the scanner and also get updated information from my newsroom, see what's confirmed, see what we can tell you. We don't want to report any speculation. We don't report on the details of scanner traffic, although I'm sure many of you are listening to the scanner. But we just want to make sure that what is coming from us is accurate and confirmed. So I appreciate you being patient as I sort of repeat myself on facts here. Also, some of you are joining us and are new. Kristen, this neighborhood is North Sacramento. We're just a block away from El Camino here in North Sacramento. And it's on Redwood Avenue, 220 block of Redwood Avenue. Down there is where the gunman is holed up. We are currently posted at Colfax and Redwood, about a block and a half west of that house. I'm going to check in on the latest information. If you have any questions, please ask my colleagues monitoring these. You're welcome, Christian. Thanks for watching. I'm going to see if I have any more information I can bring to you guys. Battery, power that up.
Here, you can do this. Oh.
Okay, great. Oh, great, thank you.
It was on your text.
My text. Oh, okay. All right, hold on, folks. I'm gonna check. We have some new information, I think. So stand by. I'm gonna use that. One moment here. I might pause for a second, but I will be right back. Okay, guys, thanks for waiting. What we know is that Sac PD has arrived at the media staging area. That's not where we are, but that's where my colleagues are. They're going to be giving a live briefing. You'll be able to watch that on ABC 10's Facebook page. I will also be watching it. If for some reason you can't access that, I will be giving you those updates as I find them. They haven't started yet, but they will be starting soon. This is new information. They just arrived on the scene, so they'll be able to give us an update, the most up-to-date information, so we can hopefully give you some more information than what I've been repeating here for the last bit, and I appreciate your patience. We're just waiting for confirmation on information. Can you hold this for 1 second? Thanks everyone for patience. We're going to try and find when that press conference from SAC PD will start.
That's one candy?
Oh, yeah. Thanks so much.
Cold.
Vince, you want one?
You put some.
Cold orange chocolate? Oh, yum.
I've been trying for like months, you know. I'm dead serious to get these contractors up where the burns are to call me.
Yeah.
Like to do some big time subcontracting up there where the big contracts are. Sure enough, they're going right with this is going on. So I'm telling the guy, bro, you know, I'm getting all these calls and these cops and strikers. And it's like, oh, okay, you're not. So I'm, well, no, I'm interested.
Yeah. But it's
It's kind
a big
of
deal.
fun.
I know. Was it Murphy's Law or something like
Murphy's
that?
Law. Murphy's Law.
Thanks, Lionel. Hit the spot.
Thank you. Oh, she gave me some. Thank you.
Missing the big lowdown with the yearly event or twice yearly event.
So I don't know. Yeah, I'll take that. Thanks for your patience, everyone. We're just kind of waiting on the Sacramento Police Department's press conference to begin. My colleagues are at the media staging area, and I will be watching that live. I believe it will also be on ABC 10's Facebook page. So if you, for some reason, can't pop over to that feed, I will be bringing you the facts. I can even hold up my phone and we can watch it together. The scene here has been fairly stable. In terms of, from our block and a half away, we have not seen any hectic activity. I know it's very active a block and a half that way. The gunman is still holed up in the home, but no major advancements for the last hour or so. They've been trying to just find a way to get to the gunman. So Sac Sheriff and Sac PD have this whole area blocked off. That's El Camino. We're here in North Sacramento. There's an armed gunman holed up in a home in Redwood Avenue, about a block and a half east of here in the 220 block of Redwood Avenue. We are a block and a half away at Colfax in Redwood. We don't have a clear line of sight to the house, which is safer for us. So we are trying to just bring you the confirmed information, so we're not reporting on speculation or scanner traffic. We're just trying to tell you what we know. There's some more police blocking off another roadway down there. Thanks, Renee. Yep, I'll keep you guys updated. Thanks for your patience, too, as I repeat myself and as I pause for some updated information. So if anyone has any questions, I know I can't answer. I don't have a lot of confirmed information at this point. I hope that will change once we hear from the SAC PD media update. Waiting on that.
I think it's a police drone that they're flying.
Where?
I just saw lights in the air right above the scene.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think it's a police drone. That's why it's fine.
Okay, that would make sense.
Yeah, it's on the ground now.
Okay, folks, we have the media conference live now on ABC 10's Facebook page, ABC10 ABC10. I'm going to pull it up here too so you can hear. We'll watch it together. If for some reason you can't pull up ABC 10, so 1 second here. It's on Facebook Live, yep. So this is Sergeant Vince Chandler with the Sacramento Police Department. One moment here, thanks for your patience. And I'll repeat back some of the facts as he says them in case you can't hear it very well. Turn up the brightness, there we go. not hearing anything yet. I know we got the helicopters here. We've got some wind picking up, so you might not be able to hear. I want to assure you I will repeat back the facts if you can't hear. I'll let you know when I start hearing something. It's still silent. They're still setting up. Thanks, guys, for sticking with me and bearing with us here. What's okay? I got it. This is Sergeant Vince Chandler with the Sacramento Police Department. He's about to give us a briefing on what's happening here, a block and a half east of where I'm standing. Oh, can you grab that cord and sling it over my shoulder so I don't step on it? Thank you. Thanks for your patience, guys. Up Sacramento Police, they're about to give their live update, so just waiting for everyone, I think, to get their cameras on. I'll let you know when I hear them start talking, just so you guys know when you should be able to start listening. When it's if the audio isn't working, I will tell you what he's saying. Does that look like Thrift Town in the background, you guys? I think that was some of the original staging area was supposed to be at Thrift Town. Oh, nope. It was originally at Thrift Town. I think they moved it for safety purposes.
You want to try to move it a little, or are you good?
I'm trying to get this as close as possible so you guys can hear it. The volume's all the way up for me. Thanks for your patience. PIO, Public Information Officer, so they are not only going live on SAC PD's accounts, but ABC 10's got it live too. Again, we are waiting on the Sacramento Police Department to give us a live update on the shooting that took place a block and a half this way. We're at Redwood Avenue, 220 block of Redwood Avenue in North Sacramento.
Anybody not ready?
Anybody not ready? Asks. This is Sergeant Vince Chandler.
All right, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Vance Chandler, Sergeant with the Sacramento Police Department, and I'm going to give you a brief summary of what we know at this point. This
Can you hear?
scene is still very, very active, and all the information that I will provide is preliminary information based on what we know and what we understand at this time.
Take notes.
What we do know is that this morning, shortly before noon, we received a call regarding a disturbance between a male and a female. And shortly after 3:30, we responded and made contact with a female at a separate location than our active incident right now. We responded to the 200 block of Redwood after making contact with the female to help her gather some belongings at a residence in the 200 block of Redwood. We had multiple officers on scene with the female helping her gather some belongings, and while our officers were on scene, one of our officers was shot. Due to one of our officers being shot, our officers took safe positions, and at that time they believed that the officer was shot with a rifle. And the officer went down in the yard of a residence, and due to the suspect being armed with a rifle and actively shooting more than the original shooting, officers maintained cover and in safe positions until we were able to get an armored vehicle in the area. And shortly before 6 p.m., our officers were able to bring an armored vehicle to the location and execute a rescue of the officer officer who had been shot, and they did that safely. They evacuated the officer, and the officer has been transported to a local area hospital. The status of the officer on the latest update that I have is serious condition, and at this time the scene is still very active. We do believe there is at least one suspect at this time, and he is still firing a rifle that we believe is a rifle, and as of approximately 40 minutes ago he was still firing a weapon. And the scene is very, very active. We have multiple agencies here helping our police department, and there are quite a few, so I can name quite a few of them, but I don't want to forget any of them. We want to thank all of our law enforcement agency brothers and sisters who are here, fire, and we are very thankful for all their help, as this is a very, very critical incident for our entire police department and our community, and we appreciate everyone's patience. And keep in mind that this is still a very active scene, and it's also a very dangerous scene due to the suspect being armed with a rifle. And like I said, he was still firing that rifle approximately 40 minutes ago. So with that, I have very limited information. I will field a few questions at this time.
Have you made contact with him?
I can only take one at a time, I'm sorry.
Have you made contact with him?
Contact in as in,
Contact with the suspect.
what I do know is that we've had multiple officers fire their weapons at the suspect, but unknown status. We do know that he did fire his weapon approximately 40 minutes ago.
What agency is the officer from?
From our police department, Sacramento Police Department.
Can you confirm it's a female officer?
Not at this time.
Can you go over the time frame again of the initial shot that was fired that hit the officer and then the time frame that she was in the lawn in the front yard?
You said she.
The officer, pardon me, the time frame the officer between when the officer was hit and when the officer was retrieved from the yard.
Yeah, so this is all preliminary information. Again, the scene is very active, and we are developing a lot of information still. They arrived on scene at the residence shortly after 5:30, and shots were fired shortly after 6, and the armored vehicle was in place shortly before 7, and then the officer was extricated at shortly before 7 and transported to a local area hospital.
Any information about the suspect at all that you can share?
We have some preliminary information on who we believe it is, but that's all preliminary information right now, and nothing has been confirmed, so we are unable to provide information right now.
And only one officer was hurt.
At this time, the information that we have, only one officer was shot, correct.
Were they shot at upon arrival, or did they actually enter the home, or was there much interaction leading up to this?
So they were on scene when the shooting happened, and they have been on scene for a little bit before that did occur.
The perimeter that's set up right now, the size, can you speak to the size of it? How wide it stretches beyond where the shooting scene is?
Well beyond, and we do believe the suspect has a rifle, so we do want people to know that a rifle is a very dangerous weapon, and when someone is firing a rifle, it can go a long distance, so we want everybody to know that it's important to stay out of the area, because we don't want anybody to be in the backdrop and be hurt during this incident. So the perimeter is very, very big for that reason, and we have officers in place from our police department and multiple other agencies to ensure that everyone stays safe in the area. And now, obviously, our priority is to make sure that our officers stay safe, our community stays safe, and we do all we can do to attempt to get a peaceful surrender from the suspect. So that's where we are right now.
Which agency is handling? Is there a negotiation, a standoff? What does that look like right now? Is it a hostage situation? Which is there any agency involved?
So our agency is the lead agency. It's in our jurisdiction. It's in the city of Sacramento. So the Sacramento Police Department is the lead on this entire incident. We do have multiple other agencies here assisting us, and I don't have a list of all of those agencies, so I don't want to forget about any of them, but I do want to thank all of them because we appreciate all their help and support during this critical
Is there a
incident.
negotiator talking to them or anything like that?
We do have negotiators here. The latest information I have is we have not had any verbal contact with him.
That's the woman that you went to assist originally. Is she still in the home? Did she make it out safely? Are there other people in the home?
She is is with us and she is safe.
She came with you to retrieve items, so she was not there when you arrived.
We contacted her at a different location, and then we came over here with her to help gather some belongings.
Is she a victim of domestic violence? What was the reason for her needing police backup to do that?
Well, again, this is all preliminary information. What we do know is that there was some sort of disturbance between a male and a female, and we made contact with her, and we were helping her gather belongings at this residence.
Did she ride with officers and squad cars back over? Or did she drive herself separately?
I don't have that information.
Is it believed that they were together?
I'm sorry, I can only take one at a time.
Are they together? Are they a couple? Does she express that that's her partner?
Again, we haven't confirmed who this suspect is, so I don't have that information at this time.
How many other officers were with the officers at the time of the shooting?
I know that there was at least one other officer, and the exact number I do not have.
That identifying the officer, can you explain anything about their service, their time with the police force?
Not at this time.
Was the officer transported by ambulance when there was a report that she was transported in a patrol?
I don't have that information. I do know that once the armored vehicle was able to rescue the officer was transported to a local area hospital.
Can you just go over one more time the time that the officer was shot and then the time when they were able to be rescued, the different hours?
I'll give you the exact time.
Yeah.
The shots were fired at 6:10 approximately, and the armored vehicle was in place shortly before 7 at 6:54 p.m. and the officer was transported from the scene at 6:59 approximately.
And the officer was shot more or less right as they arrived on scene to help the woman retrieve some belongings or a time pattern.
No, they arrived on scene at 5:41, so shortly after 5:30.
So there was about a half an hour-ish between the time they arrived there and when the officer was shot.
That's good now.
Can you repeat the hours?
Hey, Candy, I'm
It's
sorry
like
for the volume.
5:41. They responded to that residence, and then 6:10 p.m. was when the shots were fired, approximately 29 minutes.
So it was about 40 minutes or so that she was on the lawn before you were safe enough to go retrieve her and take her back.
Who's she?
The officer, I'm sorry. 40 minutes or so that she was on that lawn before you were able to get to the officer and take her to the hospital.
So the shots were fired at approximately 6:10, and the armored vehicle was able to get to the officer at 6:54, and the officer was transported away at 6:59, approximately. It's time to approximate. Let's see. Any other questions or
Last
concerns?
question,
Any
this seems like an extremely unique situation. Can you speak to that? I have never heard about this situation, you know, in any other shootings that we've covered with an officer in that position shot. It must be difficult for responding officers.
This is a very unique situation. Anytime you have a suspect firing a weapon at officers and multiple times, and again, the first shots were fired at 6:10 and still firing shortly after 8 o'clock for at least a 2-hour span, and obviously the incident is not over yet, and we've had one officer who's been shot, and our priority now is making sure that we take every safety precaution to ensure that no other officers are shot, and then also nobody else in our community is shot. So this is very unique, and this is a very critical incident for not only all of our officers, but all of the agencies who are here to help us, and plus for our entire community, this whole area. So we are very grateful for all the support that we have received from all the outside agencies who have responded and said, hey, whatever you need from us, we're here for you. So we appreciate that, and we also are very proud of the professionalism of our officers that they've displayed during this entire incident, and then the other agencies as well.
Was the second officer on this?
I do not have that information. I can tell you that we know that the suspect has a rifle, so a rifle can extend, and so that's why we want to make sure that people, including media, stay out of the area, because we do not want anybody else being hurt.
And to the best of your knowledge, there's nobody else inside of the home where the suspect is.
Again, that's to the best of our knowledge at this time, and every minute we continue to develop more information, but at this time, that's the information that we have.
And just to clarify
Do we
one
have
more.
any details about exactly?
Let me finish his question. I'm sorry.
And just, I know you mentioned earlier, was there for sure one other officer or at least one other officer with the officer who was injured at the time the shooting happened?
I want to make sure I understand your question. The officer.
So there's the officer who was injured, and then there was one other officer with that person, or there may have been possibly more than one officer with the one that was injured.
Again, this is all preliminary information. There's a lot of information in the process, and I don't want to give out any inaccurate information. But the information that we have is that there was at least one other officer on scene when the shooting happened.
And that is the person that dispatched for help or whatever they need to do after the officer was injured.
I don't know exactly who dispatched for help.
You don't know if that officer was in a position to be with the wounded officer, physically able to be there to.
I don't have that information right now.
Do we know? I mean, it sounds like there was enough time, or a lot of time before the officer was shot. Do you know any details about? Was the officer surprised? Was there any kind of negotiation, conversation before this person became violent? Any description as to the scene of how the officer ended up being hurt or shot?
I haven't talked to the officer, so I don't have that information. I do know that shortly after 6 was when the shots were fired, and our officer was struck by gunfire, and then at least one officer, and then all the responding officers. They took extreme measures to make sure that everybody stayed safe, because when somebody has a rifle and they're firing at police officers, it's a very dangerous situation, and rifle rounds can obviously penetrate a lot of different things. So that's why all the officers who responded and who were on scene took every safety precaution after the shots were fired.
And the first shots weren't at the officer. They weren't at the spouse or anybody else. Like the first shots fired, registered fired at the house was this confrontation happened.
Again, this is all preliminary information. Once this scene is stabilized, there will be a lot of investigation that goes into figuring out how many shots were fired, the angle of the shots. But what we do know is that at that time, 6:10 p.m. Approximately, that our officer was struck by gunfire. Yeah. Anything else in English?
Anybody else that you know of, neighbors that were hit or heard reports of that?
At this time, the only information that we have as far as someone being injured is our officer, as far as struck by gunfire.
That's what you've been giving another update tonight.
We too plan to give another update, and if you guys could just please stay out of the area for your safety, and we will be providing another update as we develop more information.
Just one more request. It was the lawn of the suspect's home where the officer was. It wasn't a neighbor's lawn, or do you know?
I don't have that information. I do know that the officer was in the backyard of a residence.
Backyard.
Have you had previous contact with that location?
I don't have that information right now. Thank you.
All right, folks. Recap what we just heard. 1 second here. Okay, Vince, can I trade your phones real quick? Do you mind pulling that up to light me up? Hey guys, so you just followed along the press conference from the Sacramento Police Department. That was Vance Chandler giving us the update. The new information is this. So what we know is that it started late this morning as a domestic disturbance call. We don't know whether this was between a man and a woman. We don't know if it was a couple, a romantic couple, or any kind of family ties. However, came in as a domestic call. Police made contact with the woman elsewhere, away from the scene. Essentially what happened was the police went with this woman to the home for her to gather some things, some belongings, and in the course of her returning to this home, where we're standing a block and a half west of and the 200 block of Redwood Avenue. Shortly after arriving there, the man at the home fired a rifle and struck a Sacramento police officer. That was around 6:10 this evening. And then because that man continued to be actively firing, the rest of the police responded and surrounded the home. That police officer who was shot remained on the scene for about 45 minutes until police were able to take an armored vehicle to the scene. This officer was in a backyard, and rescue this officer. The officer has been transported to UC Davis Medical Center for treatment and is currently in serious condition. One of you asked about the woman who initially was involved with the domestic disturbance. The police say that woman is safe. So at this point, police tell us the only injury involved in this incident in terms of gunshot wounds is the Sacramento police officer who is currently being treated at UC Davis Medical Center. Multiple agencies are involved. This is still an active scene. The police still are trying to get this shooter out of the home in the 200 block of Redwood Avenue. They have been bringing in a negotiator. Currently, Sac PD says they have not made verbal contact with this suspect. And as of, he said, the last 45 minutes or so now probably within the last hour, the suspect is still firing what they believe to be a rifle. That's just the train over there in the background. So does anyone have any questions? Some of the questions that journalists asked Sergeant Vance Chandler with Sac PD, you couldn't quite hear because it was away from the microphone of my colleague. So any questions about this shooting? Again, we just learned that the shooting of a Sacramento police officer happened around 6:10 when this officer was responding to a domestic disturbance call, helping a woman involved with this domestic disturbance call go to her home and gather some belongings, and that's when the man involved with the domestic disturbance call fired a rifle and struck the Sacramento police officer who was currently at UC Davis Medical Center being treated and is in serious condition. That Sac PD officer who was shot by the suspect, laid in a backyard in the 200 block of Redwood Avenue for about 45 minutes before police could bring an armored vehicle on scene and rescue the officer. Because the scene was unsafe at the time and still is unsafe. The suspect is still holed up in this house a block and a half east of us in the 200 block of Redwood Avenue. Josh, I don't have any information on whether the suspect has kids. And Pedro, I don't have any information on motives. A lot of questions the journalist asked, Sergeant Chandler said he couldn't answer simply because it's still so preliminary. It's still an active scene. The guy is still holed up in this house. He has not been taken into custody yet. The goal, Sac PD wants him to peacefully surrender, but he still, as of in the last hour, has been firing his rifle, which is what they think he's using, but actively firing. And so they are hoping that this can end peacefully, that no more people are injured. Again, only one person injured by gunfire. It was the Sacramento police officer who is currently being treated at UC Davis Medical Center and is in serious condition. Any other questions about this? I'm trying to see what new information that we have. We knew that a Sac PD officer had been injured. What we did not know, what we just learned, is he alone in the house? That is the sense that I got from the news conference. I think one of the journalists asked about, is there a hostage situation, is there anything like that? We heard nothing along those lines. From everything Sergeant Chandler told us at the media conference just now, it sounds like he is alone in the house. There's no reason to believe anyhow that there are others in there. But again, police officers have not been able to get into the house. This started this morning, late this morning, as a domestic disturbance call. Police met with the one moment here. I'm getting pardon me, I'm gonna black out here for just a moment. I'm gonna come right back. I'm checking in with my newsroom. I just got a text. Okay, folks, thanks for sticking with me. We do have my newsroom. We're having a kind of a roundup conference call to talk about what's coming next, so I'm gonna finish my Facebook Live here. But you can bet I will be back on when and if the suspect is taken into custody tonight. So keep following ABC 10 and me, Becca Reports, on Twitter and on Facebook as we provide you updates, the latest information. Thanks so much for following us, and we will bring you the latest as we know it.